Have you ever thrown a book across the room because it was just so frustrating? Or maybe it just bored you to the point where you closed it and never picked it up again. Now, part of our job here at StoryGrid is to review student scenes. And over the last year, we've reviewed thousands and thousands of them. And we've seen the same 5 things showing up over and over that get in the way of the reader enjoying the book. And so I don't want these to happen to you. I don't want your readers rage quitting your books. So I'm going to walk you through these 5 things and how you can fix them in your own writing. Now, my name is Tim Grahl. I'm the CEO of StoryGrid, where we teach writers how to write books that actually work. I'm the author of 6 books, including my most recent, The Shithead, which has been praised by New York Times and Wall Street Journal bestselling authors. Everything I teach is built on the expertise of StoryGrid's founder, Sean Coyne, an editor, New York Times bestselling writer, and story researcher with over 30 years of experience in publishing. So if you're here to learn how to tell a story that keeps readers hooked, you're in the right place. So as writers, our biggest nightmare is that we bore our reader to the point that they close our book and never come back. Now, most writers think of their book as a book, which makes sense, right? It is a book, but this isn't how your reader experiences your book. They don't experience your book as a whole. They experience as a sentence, a paragraph, and a scene that builds and builds and builds through the entire thing. So even if you have an amazing moment in the middle of your book or a killer ending payoff, it doesn't matter if your scene by scene writing isn't good enough to keep the reader hooked and turning pages. So let's look at the 5 biggest mistakes we see in readers' writing and how you can prevent them in your own. Number 1, no narrative drive equals no reason to keep reading. So imagine your reader asking this question on every single page of your book. Why should I care what happens next? If your story doesn't give them a compelling answer, you're in big trouble. Narrative drive is what makes readers desperate to turn the page. It's the engine that keeps them up way past bedtime saying, just one more chapter, I have to know what happens next. So how can you tell if your book lacks narrative drive? Well, your scenes feel like they could be shuffled around in any order and it wouldn't really change anything. Or your scenes end with resolution instead of opening up more questions. Your characters face problems with obvious solutions. Your conflicts resolve way too quickly and too easily or too predictably. And readers can stop reading because they don't feel much tension or excitement with your book. So if any of these sound familiar, here's how to fix it in your writing. Number 1, make every scene have a crisis. Every scene should force your protagonist to make a difficult choice, one with meaningful, irreversible consequences. When a character has to choose between 2 painful options, readers have to see what they'll do next. Number 2, raise the stakes. Make the consequences of the decision really big, and then force your protagonist in a corner where they have to make the decision right now. And again, don't let your protagonist off the hook. They have to choose between 2 things that both have pros and cons to them and that are equal. And you need to raise those stakes. So not only does it matter to the protagonist, it matters to the reader too. And number 3, yes, again, I'm going to say it, show, don't tell. Instead of saying he was furious, show him slamming his fist on the table. Instead of saying she was heartbroken, show her gripping the letter with white-knuckled hands. Readers want to experience the story, not be told about it. And the more that they're immersed, the more they'll need to know what happens next. So if you make sure every scene of your book has a high-stakes crisis and you're showing and not telling, you're going to have really good narrative drive and it's going to pull that reader all the way to the end. So that was number 1. Let's look at the second biggest problem we see, which is exposition overload, which causes instant boredom. Have you ever been reading a book and it just slams on the brakes to explain the history of an ancient kingdom for 6 pages? Or worse, the characters explaining things to each other that they already know. As you know, Bob, we've been best friends for 20 years. Nothing kills the momentum faster than too much exposition. So there's 4 deadly exposition mistakes I see all the time. The first is front loading, dumping world building and character development before the story really even starts. Pausing the action, stopping at a crucial moment to explain something, or info dumping, where you just give the readers all the information they're going to need for the next 6 scenes right there at the beginning of the first scene. or over explaining, which is basically telling stuff to the reader that they don't really need to know and just letting them figure it out on their own. The readers are really smart, so you don't have to over explain everything. All right, so let's fix these 4 deadly mistakes with 2 simple exposition rules. The first is minimum viable exposition. Tell the reader the minimum that they need to know in order to keep the action moving. Remember, they're wondering what happens next, not what happened before this. And so make sure you tell them just the bare minimum of what they need to know and then get right back into the action. The other rule is the just-in-time exposition rule. So don't front load all of your exposition. Don't tell somebody something they might need to know in 3 scenes. Cut that and weave it into the action at that point. If you do these things, if you cut down to the bare bones and you do it just in time, you'll keep the action moving. It won't feel like you're pulling up the handbrake on your scene, and your reader will stay engaged with the reading and turning those pages. So we're going to get rid of that exposition overload so we can look at problem number 3. And this is static scenes that create meh moments. So have you ever had this happen? You finish a chapter and you think, wait, did anything actually happen in that scene? Did anything change? Well, that's a red flag, because every single scene in your book should shift something forward, should move the value of the story up or down the spectrum, and should have something irreversible happen to keep driving the story forward. So the way to fix this, the way to make sure that something changes in your scene, is the 5 commandments of storytelling. Now, I have a video down in the description that goes deeper into this, but I'm just going to go over them really quickly. The inciting incident, where something has to happen to shake up the protagonist's status quo. You have to have a turning point where the protagonist realizes there's no going back to the way things were. Then you have to drive them into the crisis, which we already talked about in the first one. And then we have to watch the protagonist actually act on the decision. They have to make the decision at that crisis point. And then the resolution is we see what happens and it sets up the next scene. So if your scene doesn't move the story forward, if a value doesn't shift up and down, if something irreversible doesn't happen in the scene, then it feels like the story's going nowhere and the reader starts wondering why they're reading it in the first place. So let's not do that. Let's make sure we're not writing static scenes. We got to write scenes where something changes, something important changes in every scene. All right, number 4, weak character desires equals 0 investment. There's so many scenes I read where the characters in them just kind of exist. They're in the story, but they don't seem to want anything. And if they don't want anything, why should we care about what happens to them? This is where all of the conflict in your story comes from. That's what stories are about, is about conflict. And the conflict comes from the characters desperately wanting things and nobody gets to have everything that they want. So every character in your story, every active character in your story must have an object of desire. The best characters want something specific and they're actively going after it. And here's the key. They also want to avoid something just as strongly. So examples, a detective wants to solve the case without breaking the law. A thief wants to pull off one last heist without losing his new relationship. That tension between what they want and what they fear losing is what makes a character interesting. If your protagonist doesn't have a driving desire, your story doesn't have any fuel on it. So we've got to make sure your characters don't have weak or missing desires. They have to want something and desperately be trying to get it throughout every scene in your book. Okay, let's look at the 5th problem. And this one may ruffle some feathers, but you can't break genre promises. If you do this, it creates instant reader betrayal. Imagine ordering a steak at a fancy restaurant and they bring you a salad. It doesn't matter if it's the best salad in the world, you were expecting a steak. Genre works the same way. Readers pick up a book based on specific expectations, and if you break those promises, they're going to feel cheated and annoyed, and they're going to walk away from your book. So there's 3 ways that writers break genre expectations. The first is that there's no clear value at stake, or the value is constantly changing. So a crime story is about justice and injustice. Action is about life and death. Love stories are about love and hate. And so if you're not making sure that value is at stake in every scene of your book, something's going to be wrong with your book. Also, if you keep changing the value at stake, and I've seen these scenes in manuscripts where at one point it seems like a crime story and then it switches to a performance story and then there's a love story and they're not woven together in the right way, this is super annoying. And then once you have your genre, you have to fulfill those expectations. You have to have the obligatory moments that have to be in every book of that kind, and you don't want to ignore genre conventions. You can't have horror stories that don't have a monster or love stories that don't have a relationship at stake. And so you have to have a clear genre and then make sure those obligatory moments and conventions are in every story that you tell in those genres. So that's the fifth mistake I see writers making, is they break genre expectations, which just makes the reader mad. So here's the best part about all of these mistakes. They're all fixable. You can learn to overcome them. And I know this not just because I did it, but because we help readers do it all the time here at StoryGrid. Because the number one thing you need, this is really simple. You just need expert feedback. You need somebody that can look at your writing and say, hey, look, the crisis isn't working in this scene, or hey, this is info dumping. We need to get rid of a lot of this exposition. And if you have those eyes on your writing and you're getting that consistent feedback, you're going to make more progress in less time, because this is what we've seen. Inside our scene writing workshops, writers make more progress in 6 weeks than 6 years of doing it on their own. Now, we have a new workshop coming up soon, and I think you're going to love it. You can go to storygrid.com/workshop to find out more. But this is a workshop that we've been running for a long time now. Hundreds and hundreds of writers have gone through it, and they absolutely love it. And I want you to be a part of it too. I'm here to help you become a better writer, level up your skills, and finally write that book that you've always wanted to write. And this is your first step to doing that. So again, go to storygrid.com/workshop to find out more. Now, if you want to dig deeper into crisis and the other things that I talk about in this video, I have another video that will continue that education. That's on your screen right now. So click that and continue watching. But either way, thanks so much for being a writer. Thanks for being a part of our community here at StoryGrid, and I'll see you next time.